learning and growing, attracting the right people, and keeping your vision in focus every day. This is the Brian Covey Show.
What's happening, guys, and welcome back to another Brian Covey Show, which today I'm going to tell you guys, all the way from Dubai, my new friend that I met in Nashville, Dariush, is going to become one of your favorite people. I can just tell you from the stage when he spoke, in our small group when we got to connect and hear him, this man has not only heart, passion, but success, and he will also share with you. He's experienced a low level of failure, which for many of us, to achieve any greatness, we have had some lows and setbacks in our life. And I just love some of the things he talks about today. So buckle up. You're going to want to take notes as he talks about how we can set higher standards for ourselves, how he's built his Be Unique firm to be one of the best in the world. And what I loved about Dariush, you could just tell, I believe all of us have this energy. When we walk in the room, we connect with people that we can transfer. And you're going to realize today after you talk with him, that there's an opportunity for us all to connect with more people, to get our message out in a better way, and just to live our best life. So Dariush, my friend, welcome.
Brian, wow. I better live up to this build up.
You got this.
Thank you so much. I love the intro. I'm going to get one of those.
Oh, you need it. I'm going to tell you. So the guy
Loved
that
it. Thank
intro, you probably recognize the voice a little bit, but he does them for some other guys out there like Grant and Brad. When you were out with Bradley, he does their intros. And look, what I've learned, and we'll just jump into this as kind of an interesting segue, is you've built out some amazing teams. And what I've learned in my life, whether it was on the soccer field or in business, the people with the best teams and the people with the best people around them win. And you've done that time and time again, not only just with your firm, but just in your life. So I'd love for you to speak to that, is how important that's been through your journey of surrounding yourself with the right people and how that's just fostered your team, but also your own growth.
I think you can't pretend to like people. Okay, I have a genuine love for people. I never judge, and I think that realness connects, and people pick up on it. I don't allow my ego to cloud my judgment or the way I behave, because I love people to like me, but I really don't care, if that makes sense. I am who I am. I'm not going to change. I know my values, and I love people. I understand life's a journey. I believe it's like a hop on, hop off bus. So you're on this journey. Some people get on your bus and they're there for a long time. Some people hop off, as long as you don't force anybody on board and you recognize who is serving you, who's not. And often I find that some people come in your life and go very quickly, but you don't have to burn bridges. As long as you're communicating well with them, then there's a mutual understanding. And I fire people quite so often, and they thank me because they weren't happy anyway. Because people, when they're happy, they perform at their best. And if you just say to them, hey, listen, it doesn't make you a bad person. It's just a square peg in a round hole. We just don't fit, and right now, but if you want to hop on this bus again, you're more than welcome. And what I find is that when you're fair and honest with people and communicate all the time, they can only respect you back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
I hope that kind of answers your
genuine, and I could tell. Oh, it does. But I love how you said that. And you can just sense it, even as you're smiling through a video today. And I saw you on stage. So for many people, they need to follow you, and we'll give them where to find you. But in your videos, how you communicate. And I can only imagine then you communicating with your team. Like you said, you're just this guy that shows up. I know you have high standards. And so how do you balance that? Because I can tell you're a competitive guy, right? Like you're in the gym, you're highly competitive, but you also have this compassion that you seem to blend those very well.
It's a fine line. I never, ever shout at my staff. I never swear at my staff, but they're nervous when they come into my office. And I really sometimes don't understand why. One thing is that I think to control your surroundings, you have to control yourself.
Yes.
So, for instance, when somebody comes to my office our weekends are here are Fridays and Saturdays. So we start work on a Sunday morning. So when somebody comes to my office on a Sunday morning and they sit down without asking and they ask me how my weekend was, I said, with all due respect, I don't have time to have that conversation with you. And automatically my staff know that they don't come in and say, can I have your time, or open up a laptop for a presentation. They come in prepared,
Yes.
because I just simply don't have the time for chit chat at work. Yes, I hug them when I go in. When I go in, people stand up to hug me, but at the same time, they know that my time is precious and I value my time. And I'm always there for them. Like just before coming on board now, one of my staff sent me a message saying, can I have some time for a personal chat? And I said, before I do that, what's the agenda? So we don't chat. Time is the most expensive. We discussed this yesterday. Time is the most valuable commodity.
Yes.
So if you start behaving a certain way, then automatically you educate your surroundings and your peer group to behave with you in a certain way.
That's powerful. And I think that's what most leaders need to know. And I've heard it said, people are going to do as you do, not always as you say. And they watch you. And
Yes.
I could tell that with you, even when you were in Nashville with us and how you were walking around spending time. And I had someone this last weekend, this stuck with me. One of the speakers there talked about non-refundable minutes, and that once you give your time to, you don't get that time back, and to be intentional about it. And I've seen this with you, and this resonates with me. I know we talked about this yesterday. Even after you just had heart surgery, so most people may not even know that you just had a heart attack and you've had these things. And you made this comment to me that just hit me. You said, I was back in the gym in 2 days. So it seems like you're a guy with routines. You're driven. How do you set up your days for success? Because you're doing a lot of things, but how do you fit in what matters most, and any routine tips that people could learn from those lessons?
Sure. When I was on stand on the stage at Nashville, I was actually in the middle of my heart attack. So you can imagine the effort it took to get out of bed. And then, as you know, the moment I finished, I went home back to the hotel to bed, because I knew something wasn't right. But here's the thing: I'd given my word, I'd given my commitment, and I said this in a podcast with Brad Lee that, life is like a bag of Maltesers, or did you have Skittles or something like this, and at the beginning you just take it and you don't think about it. But when it starts getting short at the bottom of the bag, you start nurturing every single one. So maybe I wasn't like this. I definitely wasn't like this 20 years back, because you take things for granted. But when you get into your 50s, you realize you're at the second half of your life. Mm-hmm. And time is precious. People are precious. So spend it with people with the same values. Spend it with people you can learn from. Because when I meet you, I just think, what can I learn from Brian? What can I learn from him? How can I make this world a better place? How can we both benefit from this relationship? So, I might have had somebody in Nashville who took my money and ran away or whatever, but that shouldn't cloud my judgment about everyone who lives in Nashville. Maybe listeners have had issues with some foreign guy in the Middle East with a bald head. Yes, but that doesn't mean anything about me. So I never, ever prejudge anyone.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just go with an open mind. And guess what? I've been hurt more than you could even imagine. I've been stolen from, lied to, cheated. But if I give up on the human race, you might as well give up living. Life's about people.
Yes. Wow. So I love what you said. I've heard this before, but I like the way you said it. Is I've heard people say, try to add value, try to do this, try to give back to others, which I think is important. But I love the comment you made. You said, what can I learn from this person? Like, why am I having this conversation with this person at this moment? And I love that you said that, because I think too often people miss the opportunity of, they prejudge them. They're not open to hearing, and everybody has something we can learn from them. Right. And I can tell, man, that's something I would write down. And I love how you went into this too. And I'd love for you to talk about this, because I think a lot of people, whether you're a multimillionaire, you're just starting out, you're in your 20s, your 50s, wherever, we're all either dealing with or we've dealt with a storm setbacks, issues. How do you deal with those? Because you talked about some of those, and so I know your story now better. How do you deal with those setbacks and those things that when life's just not going your way?
I was being interviewed yesterday, and somebody said, "Can you just share some of your mistakes?" Okay, and I honestly couldn't remember any, and I've made millions, thousands, and I thought this is interesting because I don't look at things as mistakes. I look at them as a learning process. Okay, maybe some of them are so stupid. I was like, a 2-year-old can make that mistake, couldn't make that mistake, and I did. But hey, you know what? So what? So what? As long as I don't make it again. Now, what happens with entrepreneurs? They tend to be very optimistic and positive people. So we tend to forget about anything negative that happened to us in our lives.
Yeah.
We don't like to think about it too much. We don't like to mellow in it. We just like to move on. Okay, but somewhere along the way, you need a yang, you need a wife, you need a husband who reminds you. Just remember, you've been a bit blindsided to this decision, and this hurt you last time, because I need somebody like that in my life. Otherwise, I'll just take on every opportunity that comes on the plate. So I think entrepreneurs tend to be very optimistic people, and they only see positivity. So if you ask me how many lessons you learned, I can go on for 24 hours. If you say how many mistakes you made, I'll be struggling to answer that because I don't see them as mistakes. So when you go through down times as well as good times, I bless it. I really thank the universe. What is who's God? It doesn't really matter. I say thank God, but it's not a religious thing. I thank the greater power, and I say this soon shall pass.
Yeah.
Whether it's good or bad, this soon shall pass. Let me ride this.
You know what's cool about that is, for all of us, we all have a moment and a choice to say, what am I learning? What's this moment teaching me? Or to go the other way, and they wallow in sorrow and they're like, oh, woe is me. And I've heard it said, and it sounds like you've adopted this same mindset of, it's not happening to me, it's happening for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very difficult, Brian, when you have no money, and it's easier said than done, and people can look at us, it's easier for you to say it. But I said it when I had nothing. I said it when I had nothing, because if you lose hope and you become a victim, what chance do you have? Because you come alone, you go alone, you're your own power, and you just have to take responsibility. And all I said was, when I knew when I was seeing people, my energy was desperate. And I really focused on act as if. I acted as if I was successful. I acted as if I was wealthy. I acted as if my diary was fully booked. And then people came, because that's nobody invests in a desperate person.
That's right.
So I just, when this is, what's happening for me? What can I learn from this? This soon shall pass. Act as if I am the busiest, because it's only a matter of time.
Where do you think, Dariush, where do you think that belief and confidence for you came from or comes from?
I think my father died when I was 3.5. And then you know the story, my grandfather took care of me, and then he died in front of me at age 7. And my mom was a widow at 23. There's only 19 years difference between us, and she may be watching now. But so she became very pessimistic and very aware and negative towards the future, because at such a young age, she has so much hardship. And for many, many years, I resented her because I was always an optimist, and I didn't want to hear fears and worries and things. And only about 4 years ago in Tenerife, because I always thought maybe my dad's DNA, because he was an entrepreneur, I was thinking my dad's DNA was so positive, and I've inherited that. And then about 4 years ago, I was in a seminar in Tenerife in Spain, an island in Spain. And he was a Tony Robbins seminar, actually, and Tony was talking. And I realized, actually, my mom was my inspiration. And she's the one that I wanted to be opposite. Like, it had nothing to my dad. It was my mom, because what I was seeing a very sad life. And I just wanted to provide, and I wanted to be opposite to her. I wanted to be a bundle of joy and happiness and positivity, because I was seeing this beautiful woman aging, worrying, and concerned about things were never as bad as her worries. Yes, and automatically I had this sense of responsibility to provide. So I didn't have the chance to be childish. I didn't have an opportunity. I didn't give myself the opportunity to really enjoy my childhood. It was just the process of making it happen and providing, yes, I'm going to be the man that you never had. I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be the force for good. And I'm going to show you men won't let you down. They won't quit. They won't leave you stranded. So I think, my mom was an inspiration. All her acts and behavior towards him was opposite. Okay, it was just for me to prove her wrong.
How powerful is that, though? I mean, we hear it all the time, right? I'm sure you've heard it going to a Tony Robbins conference or other places, and people will tell you their stories. They're like, I had these hard upbringings, this, that, and the other. And it's like, you chose to go the opposite and use that for a force for good, as you said. And it's like, okay, I'm not going to be that way. I'm going to be this other way and change the trajectory of your family. And people, they miss those opportunities. And I love how now watching you, and this was a fun one for me, just to kind of get to know you and watch your videos and connect. And now I love that you're starting to share some of those messages. And I'd love for you to talk about one, like, why are you doing these videos? Because you're giving back. Your time is valuable, as you talked about there. Yes. But you're doing these really powerful videos, which, by the way, are some of my favorite. They're short, to the point. I always glean something from them. And so I love them.
Thank you.
What got you started sharing those, and what's really kind of the purpose of why you're doing those?
Yes. Even now, I just think to myself, am I going to get found out? Is somebody going to catch me out? Are they going to realize that, I actually don't know anything, right? So I've got this dilemma, even in front of the camera. People say, you look comfortable. I'm not. I'm nervous as hell. What happened was, I started my personal development journey in my early 30s. And I was going to these big courses, conferences all over the world. And people were coming to me saying, thank you for sharing this course with me. And I was like, we haven't spoken. And they'll say, doesn't matter, your energy was amazing.
Yeah.
And this became really, really common, right? And I was like, what's the world telling me? What's the universe telling me? That something, whatever it is, God's given me, that people get drawn to, And then about 6 years ago, somebody came to me, and one of my students actually came to me, and he said, I have an events company, and I would like you to attend one of the events and be a speaker. I said, I'm not a speaker. And he said, no, I think your story is really interesting. And it was a 2-day event, and he gave me the dead man slot, which is the last slot of the 2-day event.
No,
I had no idea. So it was like imagine like a Sunday at 5:00. And everybody wanted to go home. There's a few hundred people in the room. And I had no idea. I had 40 minutes to speak. I spoke for 2.5 hours.
Wow.
And the other speakers were so pissed off. They were like, God, how unprofessional is this guy? And blah, blah, blah. But what happened was, after 2.5 hours, during the 2.5 hours, people were dancing, they were singing, they were crying. And there was more people in the room at 7:30 than there were at 5:00.
Wow.
And people were hearing the shouting, screaming, dancing, and people were coming into the room. And somebody opened up a Facebook page with me on it, a Dariush Soudi official or something. And then today I have nearly 400,000 followers on that Facebook page. And people just like the stories. And the most common thing I get is that people say, you know what, you're real. And I resonate with your stories. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to commercialize this. What happened was, I was doing events and I was doing training courses once a month in Dubai, and they were fully booked. And when COVID hit, I realized that I didn't have any online products or materials. So I accelerated my posts and stuff like this. So I'm working on my book. My book should be finished end of the month. I'm going to start these courses again. I love to, Brian. I would love to invite you to one of my courses. If not, I'd like to open some in the US. People absolutely love it. They're called 8 till late. Starts 8 in the morning, finishes at 2 a.m. And at 2 a.m., people don't want to go home. And I teach them everything they need to know how to have the most abundant life, abundance of wealth, health, finances. So I believe that it's an exchange of energy. I like to contribute, but I'm not a charity either, although we have charities we help. But eventually I will commercialize this. But right now it's unconditional.
And this is one of the coolest things. I love listening to, because one, you can tell the passion you have. Two, I would just one of your superpowers I picked up on, which everybody should know what you're great at, what differentiate you, is your ability to communicate and transfer energy to people. Because whether we like it or not, that is happening in every conversation, every interaction. And I love how you brought that to the table. And now you're really starting to like step into it. And some people wait. They're like, oh, I'm going to just find my passion one day. Like it's going to hit them in the head and they're going to figure it out. No, go do things, go try things. And as you started to share these, I can see you going down this path. So I love that you mentioned the book, because I think that's super cool that you've got it there. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about, you've got this optimism and things that we touched on, but I also can see you're now starting to go down this path of a book, right? And you've got the videos out there. What are some other things that you look at today that maybe some other people should be thinking about and trying to, in a way, kind of identify their strengths? Because I think people struggle with this.
Sure. This is quite powerful. These are for the parents who are listening, okay? Because it's different when you're a single person, and I can talk about that as well. But I always focus on the greater good, okay? And I always think, I'll give you one example. This is why I think like this. And my grandfather died in 1974. And in 2005, I went to Iran. He was Iranian, and he was a mayor of a city. He was a great guy. The ruler of Iran liked him so much because he was so honorable and has high values. He'll take him to different cities to fix them, because the religious guys were ruining it and ripping the country off. And now they're all leading the country. But anyhow, so 30 years later, I go to Iran because my grandma wasn't well, and I went to see her. And I turned up in this village or this small town. It's a very religious town that my granddad was the mayor of. Over 40 people heard I was coming, and they turned up just to say hello.
Wow.
And I thought, 30 odd years later, people love and respect my granddad for the man he was. Okay. And I thought, what a legacy. What a legacy to leave behind. And it just hit me that, and I've already had 2 heart attacks. And I thought, what am I going to leave my children with? And their children and their grandchildren. And my name is, again, I'm going back and forth. The fact is that I want my children to have the best memories of me. And I want their children to have the best memories of the granddad and so forth, way after I've gone. And if they can guide them to the right direction, and they can use this technology to get my videos and stuff, I've served my purpose. And along the way, if third parties benefit from it, fantastic, great. Okay. But the most important thing is my family, my children. Gosh. So
I love that. That's been a driver. I wish I had learned that earlier, but I had a similar experience of 4 years ago and had a breakthrough that I've shared many times. But I found a coach at that moment, and it was perfect timing, but he got me to start thinking about legacy in a way I'd never thought about, and has been a catalyst for growth. And so for anybody out there listening, if you haven't really defined what that legacy is going to look like in your namesake, and to create generational change with your family, no matter where you started from, you could be the one to change it. And so, I would tell you that. And I'd love to dive into this, because we were talking about this earlier. Sometimes this is controversial for people. I hear different people have different views on this, but we were talking about balance. And I know you and your wife, you're about to go to Mexico, and you're going to have some time. And I love how you mentioned we need some us time and those things. And you're running this company. You've got, your coaching that you're doing online. You have many, many areas that are pulling you in different directions. I think people struggle to find this, right? Like I was with some entrepreneurs this last weekend, and you could tell their life was well out of balance. Either their health had sacrificed, their finances weren't where they wanted, their business, all these things were all over. How do you find balance in your life with that and prioritize?
Thank you. It's an everyday struggle. I look at you, and I seriously admire your health, your energy, your physiology. It's incredible. I'm nowhere as fit and healthy as you are, and I can only admire you, because you have a certain amount of discipline, and it's not easy. It's so easy to stay in bed an hour later. It's much more difficult to beat that clock before it rings and just jump out and beat that alarm and go to the gym. It's just discipline. It's just habits. Now, believe me, there's never a good time for anything. There's never a right time for anything. Okay. Because last weekend I was in England. I come back 2 days in Dubai and I'm flying out again. And some of my loved ones, when they found out, my family members, that I was flying out again, guess what the response was? Again? Are you going again? Are you sure? Wow. All the time. Wow. And I said, absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm going to have the best time in the world with my wife because we deserve it. And it's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And I exaggerated the response because I was like, don't portray your whatever way of seeing life onto mine. Because I'm going to have the greatest life ever. And that's my choice. And you know what? I'm not harming anyone. I'm not hurting anyone. I'm going to live it.
Yes.
Done. Who's anyone to tell us what to do?
I love that because, I mean, we've all faced it. And in a confession, you know, as you see that, and yes, like, you know, I played the professional soccer. And so fitness has been a big part. But I tell the story often is I've had 2 seasons in my life when I was a teenager, and then we had our first 2 kids, that my health went in the absolute tank. It was horrible. Like gained 30, 40 pounds, overweight. Like my health was, and those were triggers for me. But I'm actually, as people see that, I believe I'm disciplined. But what I found out, Dariush, this last weekend, I started to do a real look at where my habits and routines were. And I was out of alignment. I was getting my workouts in when I could, when it was convenient. And it was starting to fall down the list. And so when I came back, one of the commitments, everybody comes back from these conferences like Tony Robbins and all this, and they're all fired up. They're motivated to change the world. So I wrote down actionable items and I said, you know what? I'm going to sit down with my wife because it's important that I have alignment with the family and things. And we agreed. And I said, okay, 7:45 in the morning, I'm going to block it out on my calendar. I'm going to block out an hour and I have a home gym, which I've got obviously fortunate to have that, but I built it because it's important to me. And I'm starting a new routine this week. I've started it. That's where I was this morning. That's where I was yesterday. And you're right. It is not easy because you know what I'd rather be doing? Hanging out with my family, maybe eating a big breakfast. There's emails waiting on me. People need me. Maybe I could scroll social media, like all that.
Yes.
I love that you say that because people think it's easy. They look at other people like, just must be so easy for them. What Dariush does on video and, you know, you're traveling. No. You decided to go do these things and you stayed committed.
Yes.
What things would you say have helped you and maybe could help others? Because I get a lot of questions about this, about how to build routines, how to instill habits, how to do things basically when you don't want to do them. What do you do?
Sure. First of all, I never dream towards. Okay. I have very clear goals and I dream from. And I learned this from Tiger Woods. When, I don't know if you know this story, but Tiger Woods, when he was at the peak of his game, he actually, when every golfer started from hole 1 and imagined how they were going to play. Tiger Woods started from the 18th hole backwards. He visualized winning the tournament and he calculated how he did it together. So what I do is, and I did a lot more when I had nothing, I had cards everywhere showing me exactly what I was going to earn and life I was going to have in 6 months and what I did every single day together. So I was focused. I didn't allow turbulence. I didn't allow wind. I didn't allow Earth's direction to put me off my path. You know, and what's unfortunately what happens is most people are comfortable distracted. Sorry, I just declined my secretary call. So most people are happy being distracted. You know, and because when you're distracted, you're in your comfort zone. You know, one of the things you said, Brian, was really good. I think the worst thing to do in the morning is open your emails. The worst thing to do, even if you're going to stay in bed, don't open your emails. Open them in the afternoon. Dictate your day. Don't be just responding to emails and let the emails dictate your day. And people say, oh, what if there's an urgent email? It can wait. It can wait. You dictate your day. You plan your day. I find I go to courses and they're all about motivation. Okay. And I find not many courses actually teach you the skill.
Yes.
And I would love to come to the States, work with people like yourself and teach the masses the skill. Everybody has the desire and the motivation. Just don't know how.
Yeah.
They don't know how. And another problem with, I think, courses is that I can never be a Tony Robbins. I'm not 6'7". I don't have his charisma. I don't have his powerful voice. I can never be Brad Lee. I don't have the sense of humor and the sharpness and the confidence that he portrays, you know? And the problem is that most people go on courses and they can't be like that person on stage.
Yeah.
I want to teach skills based on that person's, you know, their personalities, because it's taken them 30 years to develop that personality. They cannot be somebody else. That's why I believe that people get course junkie. They keep going, they get motivated, but don't know the skills based on their personalities to be successful. And if we can help people not to change their personality, but teach them the right habits and right skills, they all have the desire.
Yeah. Wow. So we're going to do that here, because that gets me excited, because I think you just hit the nail on the head on a couple things I want to unpack. Is that the skills I think are huge. And then the other thing you talked about was just, and I think about this often, is people don't know who they are, right? Like they want to imitate, they see someone online, like, I'm going to be like that person. I'm going to be like that person. It's like,
yes.
No, God created you. You're an individual. Your life experiences, you're 50 years on earth. Only you have experienced every one of those moments, successes, and things that, right?
Incredible. We're the only beings on the planet who have the power of choice.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're the only beings who have unlimited growth potential. A tree can only grow so much. A dog can only grow so much, right? But we're the only fucking people, excuse my language, who put a ceiling over our growth. Yes. For no reason. We put a ceiling over our growth because of the color of our skin, the location, the geography, the sex that we're born in, our background. You know, yes, it's so bad. I'm sorry. I'm terribly so. But you know what? Don't let that child dictate the person you are today. Don't let that geography or that neighborhood dictate the man you are today or the woman you are today.
Yeah.
Some people will hate what I'm saying, but it's true. And the reason it provokes a strong reaction, because it hits them right in the gut. Yeah. You know, I have staff who are literally 6'6", 6'7", huge basketball players, muscles coming out of their ears, right? I have a box of tissues in my office. They all leave crying. You know what? Not because I tell them off, because I tell the truth and it hits them right in the gut, right? Yeah. And they get moved because the world doesn't tell you the truth. Yeah, they don't want to hurt people's feelings. They don't want people to dislike them. You know what? It's about time we went out there and tell people the truth and say, you know what? You deserve to have a life of abundance. The rich people through COVID got richer. The poor got poorer. Same situation, same scenario for everyone. Why can't we have it?
Yeah, that's a phrase I use in some languages is, you know, for our team, why not us? You know, why not me? Why not our family? Like, why can't we do this or do that? And I love your perspective on that. And it's contagious with people around you. So I'd love to pick your brain, because you're leading an amazing firm, and people may not know, they can go and look it up, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on leadership, because I love where you're coming from and sharing the truth and valuing your time, and you walk the walk. What are some keys to leadership that you would share with some of those people that listen, that are leaders out there and want to be a better leader?
Sure. The first one was be real. Now, I say to my staff, and I have monthly meetings with them, and I say, and when I'm away, people say the energy of the company drops. Okay, so it's inevitable. You can't run a business all the time, 24 hours, 7 days a week there. So you have to accept the fact that when you're not there, the energy will drop. And the best staff you've got will only be as 80% good as you. So just accept the fact nobody's going to be as good as you. What people say is that I always tell it as it is. Okay. And I say to people is that, look, I'm the most selfish owner of the company you could ever meet. I'm the most selfish guy, because I know without you achieving your goals, I can never be super rich. So let me help you achieve your goals. Let me get you rich, because collectively I'll become richer. So are you game on? Do you allow me, this selfish leader, to make you rich so I can be richer? What are they going to say? Every member of my staff has a vision board. My driver, my T-boy, the cleaners, the receptionist, the salespeople is obvious. Administrative staff, my accounts department, they all have the vision board. And I go and tell the vision board, so are we going to achieve that? We're going to get that car. How are we going to do it? Okay, and if I feel the dreams are too small, or even the picture of the car they want is too small, I said, go and get a bigger one. You know, and often, do you know what I say to them? I say, excuse, can I swear, Brian?
Yeah.
Because that's some people don't like profound. I just say, you know what, fuck you. Fuck you. Okay? I'm going to hold myself responsible to your kids.
Yeah.
I'm going to hold myself responsible to your wife, because you're going to go home and you're going to pay for that rent. You're going to pay for those school fees. You're going to pay for those holidays. So screw you, because you know what? We don't treat our own money and our own welfare as much as we treat our families. We respect that so much. Okay, so if you gave me money, I'll protect that money so much more than I would my own, because you gave it to me in trust. So I often bypass them. So your kids deserve you better.
Yeah.
Man up. Be a woman of professionalism and importance and seriousness. Achieve those goals. And what are they going to say? They can't say, well, I don't care about my kids. I don't care about my wife. I don't care about my husband.
That's usually the trigger for most. I've found for me as a dad, or even this last week, I mean, any of those, you start talking about people's kids, and there is just another level of, yeah, you know what? And I found that for many people can drive them through their toughest seasons. And you coined this, and I've kind of taken to it. And I love, like, when you share this, but you talk about gladiators, and you've kind of created this tribe around it. I'd love for you to kind of unpack that, like where that came from. What does a gladiator look like? Who is a gladiator? First
of all, the average age of a gladiator dying in 2,000 years ago was 23. So average age that the gladiator passed, if you're past 24, 25, you pass your sell-by date. But the difference was, first of all, the gladiators didn't kill each other like we are led to believe. A lot of it was entertainment. So if you perform really well, you live to fight another day. But then if you perform badly, you just get killed. You get slaughtered. Okay? We're the same human beings. We still have the same patterns that the cavemen do 10,000 years ago. Men tend to be hunters, women are gatherers, they bring up the family, they give birth. We're all from women. And I have full respect for women, by the way. I think everybody should be treated equally based on their skills, their performance, and what value they bring in, irrespective of male, female, size, whatever. So I don't want the females listening to this thinking, oh, he's talking about men. Everybody is equal. I actually think women are more powerful than men. I really do. In every way but strength. They make better stock traders. They make better decisions, less testosterone. They make better soldiers. They make better leaders. They're actually, women are amazing, really are. They just don't have the size and strength that men do. So where was I? I've got my politically correct stuff.
No, I love it.
Gladiator, thank you.
Yeah, the movie, we see the movies, and I'm like, you coined this gladiator. I'm like, who's a gladiator? How do I become a gladiator?
What happened was gladiators were slaves. But you could be a rich gladiator, but you always be a slave. Before, for instance, you could have glory, and in the old days, they used the sweat of the gladiator as aphrodisiacs. Women would sleep with gladiators just before, because they thought they were viral. They were just, superstars of those days. But they were always slaves. Okay, and if you fought enough and you won enough battles, you could win your way to freedom. Now, I think 2,000 years later, we just become soft. We become soft. We wake up when we want, do what we want. Nobody says anything. In America, in England, Europe, we get government handouts if we have to. We're never going to be totally. It's just bullshit. Yes. And if we take us as humans back 2,000 years ago, if we behave like we do now, we'll be slaughtered. But here's the thing. If you every single day are not living your full potential, if you're not working out every single day on your skills, on your defense, your tactics, your attack, your offensive, you're dying slowly every day. So I'd rather be the gladiator and get killed in the marketplace, or fucking make it. And instead of this drip by drip by drip of death that 95% of people are living, paying taxes and dying. Yeah. That to me is the most painful process ever. Let me explain. About 20, maybe 30 years ago, I was attending a wedding. It was a Jewish wedding, and I was sitting next to the rabbi. And the father and the great grandfather of the bride and the great grandmother of the bride were being wheeled in. And he said, oh, they're not going to live long. I'm glad they lived to see this wedding. And we just got talking. And he said, I've seen people die in 3 different ways. And can I share it with you? I said, sure. And he said, one, I've seen people who've had such pain that I'm so happy for them to go, because living life is full of pain. And I'm so happy for them to go. The other ones are who've had the most beautiful, amazing, fulfilled life, and they have family surrounding them, and they go, and I'm really happy for them and the family. The third one is the one who actually gets old, has a life of memories of frustrations, and I wish I'd done this, because that's the most painful death I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I thought, you know what? I don't want to have a life like that. And if there was a Virgin advert 30 years back again in England, and the guy was walking on the pavement and he looks up and the piano is just about to land on his head and squash him. And his life flashes in front of him. Okay. And I thought, if that piano is going to land on my head, I'm going to go, wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, wow. Period. That's it. So I've dabbled in stuff that I shouldn't have done. Didn't hurt anyone. I experienced it. Like to carry on. Don't do. I drank this. Don't do that. Partied here. Partied there. Went here. One. So what? I didn't harm anyone.
Yeah.
But you ticked all the boxes.
Yeah. I love that. For people, you hear it all the time. And I had someone ask the other day, and they're like, "What are some of your regrets?" It was almost like when you were talking about what are some of your mistakes. It's like they're only mistakes and failures if we allow them to stick and we don't learn from them and we repeat them over and over, right? And you seem to live this life of almost like no regrets and living life to the fullest. So I'd love to know for you, kind of in close, like what's a truth that helps you live that way? Because I do think there's something to the positivity that you have, the outlook. You've shared so many things that they encompass who you are, but for somebody listening out there, they may be like, okay, how does this work? What's a truth that would help me start to lean in and become that person? Because I believe everybody can make a choice to become that person, just like you did. Your mom wasn't that way, but you chose to be a different way. And so I'm always fascinated by what those truths are that help you live this life, that you're very clear on who you are and what you want to do.
You have to look in the mirror and have an honest conversation with yourself. I call it a bathroom moment. And during the day, we wear different hats as fathers, mothers, businessmen, women, trainers, professional football, whatever, entertainers. But there's a moment in the day when everybody goes to bed, you go to the bathroom, you take your clothes off, you close the bathroom cabinet, and you have an honest dialogue with yourself. And that dialogue should be honest, because there's nothing to prove to anyone.
Yeah.
There's nothing clouding anything, or you don't have to win anybody's love. And you know what? In that bathroom moment, you should say, did I have a good day? And the answer should be yes. Did I achieve everything potential? The answer should be yes. If it's not, don't beat yourself up. Because our parents done that enough to us when we're young, most of us, right? And we're very good at beating ourselves up. Celebrate, be happy, because that night, if you're going to bed frustrated, could be your last night, And people say to me, why are you happy? I said, because I'm breathing.
That's right.
Old age is a bonus, is a privilege. My dad didn't have that privilege. He didn't live long enough to see his child become someone, or his grandchildren, So I'm always in gratitude, always in gratitude. Do I get pissed off? Yeah. Do I get angry? Yes. Okay. The anger has subsided as the energy goes less. I don't have as much energy as I did when I was in my 20s and 30s, but there are consequences to all your actions. And my granddad used to say, I don't know if you have this, but he said there's a good angel and a bad angel. So I call it the internal dialogue. Yeah. And it says one telling you good things to do and the one telling you bad things to do, or things you shouldn't do that are good for you. It depends which one you listen to. Yeah. There's the 5-second rule. There's the internal dialogue. Just be aware of how you speak to yourself. Is it serving you? If it's not, just don't speak it. And if you speak it enough, it becomes your personality. And if it becomes your personality, it becomes your character, then it becomes your legacy. Are you going to be proud of it? If not, just stop. Just stop. And then 1 inch a day, 1 millimeter a day, Don't think of the grander plan of being a multi-million, just 1 millimeter a day.
Yeah. That's powerful. That is, rewind that, guys. That's the part you know, and I love that about what you shared, because you do live this, and you can see, and people talk about this attitude of gratitude, but you're living through the day. And I found, you know, Dariush, for me, it's very hard to be grateful and at the same time have this conflicting emotion of I'm highly competitive, to let your temper or anger or, you know, just those other feelings come in. You can choose how you live.
You can, yeah, Think and Grow Rich. You know, sex drive was one of the biggest driving forces in humans, right? Because it's just the most natural thing. But then if you go and have sex with everybody, then you're just diluting all that drive and energy.
Yeah.
And it's the same. You don't fight everyone. You got to argue everyone. You're diluting it. So learn how to focus it, because water through a beam can burn through or cut through steel. Yes, because it's focused.
Yes.
But if you're just diluting all that abundance of energy or sex drive or anger or love or whatever it is, you just nothing. It's just not going to have the same power.
Man, I love it. My friend, I know you are heading out tonight, so safe travels. And
Thank you.
I know some of our listeners are going to want to know where they can find along, because you talked about sharing some of the skills, and they probably listen to this and are like, okay, there's more to this. I want to learn some of this. Where's the easiest place to find what you're doing and to follow along?
Well, I think you're going to put my name, text Dariush Soudi official, so they can just follow me on Instagram. But Brian, I want a commitment from you. Let not this momentum go by or go cold. I want you and I, because I picked on you on the audience. I loved your energy. I just really focus on you in the audience. Let's do these courses in the US.
Yes.
Let's help people to have abundance in their lives, okay? And let's make a massive change. Dubai, yes, everybody thinks the streets of Dubai are paved with gold, and it's an incredible city. It's amazing, yes? But market share is about 0.1% of the US market. And the US, the living the American dream, the desire to have everything, the freedom of speech, everything. I think the opportunity to help the masses is far greater in the US than it is anywhere in the world. And that's something that should be celebrated.
Yeah. Yeah. We need to do that. That is, and I connected on that same energy. And it's the thing that I go to conferences or I meet people, you know, like, okay, let's get into the meat of it. Let's get into the real skill building. Let's teach people how to live, and to your point. So it's not just up here or I feel good a couple days. It's going to be a wonderful movement. So you've got my support. I'm going to include in, guys, all of the links so you can follow along with Dariush. You can find out what he's doing. You definitely want to check out his videos. We'll include those in there. And I just want to tell you thank you, because not just how we connected in Nashville, but you followed up, and just a true professional. And for me, that is like, you can just tell genuine people. And I love that connection, because I do believe you're one person, you're one connection away from changing your life and making a greater collective impact. So for everybody listening, find that one person, be aware, be conscious of the rooms you're in, the people that you're connecting with, that you should be connecting with, because you might be one connection away from changing your life, your family's life, and generationally making a big difference and leaving that legacy, as you said. I love that. And I just want to say thank you, because you are making a difference. And I know we're going to do some big things together. And enjoy your trip, my friend. That is well-deserved.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great trip there. Guys, this has been another episode of The Brian Covey Show. I know you probably took some notes. We're going to include some of the links in there. Follow along. Make sure you go like, subscribe, leave comments for us about what your takeaways were. I love to read each and every one of those. They inspire me to make sure that we're bringing on the right guests, that we're delivering the value that help you live your best life. So until then, go out there and do something great today. Make a connection with someone and add value as you are living a life of gratitude. Cheers. We'll catch you on the next one.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you, Brian. Bye-bye.